Welcome, friends. I want to do a quick video kind of talking about some stuff I've seen in some comment sections and kind of talking about how healthy these Lightspeed bundles have been for the game, if they have been healthy at all. But really quick, I did want to say I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers by January. That's my goal right now. And so if you guys love this content, you like my videos, you want more guides, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, the changes to the game over the last year have been a lot, and I think that has a lot to influence the Lightspeed bundles. Way back when, take us back a year ago, we didn't have these new raids, we had all the old raids. SLKR was really good in the old raids. Some of you new players might not remember this. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, so if you're watching my video and you're that new, welcome to the game. But the Sith Triumvirate raid could be soloed by SLKR. He was good in C-Pit. He was good in a lot of different scenarios. And so a lot of people went for SLKR to start. But we have these new raids going on right now. And they can't have SLKR. They can't have Rey. They can't have most Galactic Legends in them, to be honest. But regardless, it made it so SLKR is no longer really a good use of your time. And if we go to this journey guide, a lot of the Galactic Legends, like Lord Vader, requires gas. Gas requires General Kenobi. Gas requires, Magna Guard. General Grievous is an auto include when you're going for gas. So, there's quite a bit. Negotiator is really helpful for getting gas. So a lot of these guys have things. Padme's required for gas. So a lot of these people have things that connect to each other. Whereas if you look at Rey as well as SLKR, they don't really connect to much. Like Jedi Training Rey is required for JML, but that's basically it. For Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, you only really share with Emperor Palpatine. There's not really any other place that shares requirements with anyone. So I've actually met quite a few people who've completely skipped over them because they don't really fit in with anything. And so they just kind of skipped over them entirely, and they're in, Kyber. And it's because they just don't connect. And so they just keep getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back is kind of like the last thing you do. If these Lightspeed bundles hadn't come around, Rey was the last Galactic Legend on my list. I wouldn't have gotten her for years, if I'm being honest. You have these Galactic Legends that, aren't going to be touched whatsoever now, because, there's no need for them. And so, to help these new game players, they added these Lightspeed bundles, using characters that most of us either already have, could use because we skipped over them, or are ones that are technically obsolete in most game modes. Yes, they're going to be good in Grand Arena, obviously. They're going to be good in Territory Wars, obviously. But for the raids, which is a huge part of this game, is raids, worthless. For a large part of the game, it's worthless, especially with the new changes with the new store that they have for us, where it requires a Galactic Legend. It's become imperative that people have a Galactic Legend, and they can't just give, really nice Galactic Legends like, say, JMK or, Jabba or anything like that, because that would cheat a lot of people out of a lot of work. Wat Tambor is such a laborious process, and it feels so good to finally finish him. You'd be cheating people out of both their own enjoyment of the game and getting that satisfaction for themselves, but also cheating out the upper echelon of players. Additionally, with how the Lightspeed bundles worked, it was, Relic 5s on Relic levels. And so that meant that higher up players couldn't take advantage of them, which is great, because it means it's a catch-up mechanic. It's meant to help us low game and mid-game players be able to catch up. Which is awesome. And so when we look at what teams we truly got from these Lightspeed bundles. It's not a ton. Like the squads we got, obviously there's some other squads. We can always talk about all the squads you can make out of the stuff. But this is kind of the main focus of what they're trying to give you out of all those Lightspeed bundles is Jedi or Rey as a Galactic Legend, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren as a Galactic Legend, and then Starkiller. And so you get these 3 teams, and it's kind of what they're pushing you to do. And adding them in, like, how will that affect your gameplay? Like, Squad Arena, obviously it's going to affect it. Does Squad Arena have any bearing on almost anything? No, because there's no crystals in it. How are these guys going to affect your territory wars? Not by much, because adding them in automatically makes you go up in your territory wars because your GP went up. And so you're going to be facing bigger guilds because you have these Galactic Legends. So it's not going to affect those people that you were around before and giving you an edge over them. It'll just bring you up to a harder difficulty. In Grand Arena, it will give you a boost at first. It will give you that boost because, adding a Galactic Legend is game-changing. But it only gives you a boost a little bit because it'll jump you ahead a little bit, and then you'll find your spot again. And so you'll get a little bit of a head start, but it really won't affect most of the other players by you getting a bundle like this. I know one of the big things that it could affect with something like this would be your crystals from Fleet Arena. And this is something that I absolutely love about this, is that of all the ships they could have given us, they could have easily given us a Finalizer pack. And Finalizer can beat Executor. It can beat a lot of good fleets. They gave us the Raddus. The Finalizer would be just a little too much because not only are you getting the Finalizer, which is an Executor counter, you're also getting some requirements for Executor by getting Finalizer. Whereas the Raddus is just the Raddus. No one wants the Raddus. Honestly, I've never lost to a Raddus that I can recall in the last, 2.5 years of playing this game. And so they give the players who buy this a solid fleet to start off, because any fleet that has synergy is going to be better than a fleet without synergy. And so it gives you a fleet with synergy without making it so it's going to break your fleet meta and interrupt your crystals. If you still get an Executor, you're still going to have an Executor. If you get a Finalizer, you're still going to have a Finalizer. You can stay in the top 50 of your Fleet Arena shard. So honestly, 10 out of 10 for how little these packs actually affect how many of the game modes that we have, because of how they've done it. By choosing very carefully what packs they did, I'm actually very impressed on how they maintained the meta in the game and how they were able to make the beginning of the game easier, because the beginning of the game is the roughest part of the game. Getting into Grand Arena at first, unless you were super focused, is really rough. Getting to level 85 is super rough, but with these bundles, especially if they keep coming back, it's going to be super nice for those early game players. Yeah, there's a little bit of a pain for me, where I'm like, SLKR was my first Galactic Legend. It took me, 8 months to farm him up, and you guys get him for, $10. It hurts a little bit, but honestly, I'm not actually that upset. Because I make up for it very much so in skill and modding. There's a reason that I'm in Erodium 1 right now, and I'm absolutely stomping people with 2 to 3 Galactic Legends more than me, and, mods is a big part of it. But yeah, it's not going to affect that much in Grand Arena and Territory Wars and really anything, because, they have those systems in place for... you win so many times, you're going up in Grand Arena. You get more GP, you're going to go up in Territory War as a guild. So, it does really well. As for the balancing of the game, where all of a sudden everyone now has this Rey and this SLKR lying around, that could be problematic. It really could, except that the other Lightspeed bundle, which I thought was just genius, was Starkiller, who could counter both Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and Rey. They gave you not only the tools to have a Galactic Legend, but also a tool to defeat those Galactic Legends, which I think was an amazing idea. They did a really good job in maintaining the meta and making it so it won't break itself. Speaking of breaking itself, this is the thing that's like I definitely think that it was healthy for the players, and I don't think that it's ruined things, and this is why we're going to go into why it breaks the game and why it doesn't break the game. And so I think this has been people's major complaints, is that, oh, it breaks the game, it makes it not fun, because now Lightspeed bundles, I could never farm a legendary again. I could, never have to farm anything again. I can just purchase it. So Ahnald did a recent video. I'll put a link in the description. But Ahnald did a recent video talking about how much they made off the Lightspeed bundles. And how much they made is significant. It is. It really is. On average for this game, they make $6 to $8 million. That month that they dropped the Lightspeed bundles, they went from $7 million the previous month to $11 million, which sounds like an insane amount. But if you're making $7 million a month, let me put it in this way. If you're making $2,000 every paycheck, and then your next paycheck you make $3,200, you're going to be like, heck yeah, I can do so much with that money. That's awesome. I'm going to have more fun time. But it's not like you just won the lottery. You're not going to immediately quit your job and be like, sweet, I'm done forever. Because it's not enough money to be sustainable whatsoever. And so that's the problem with these Lightspeed bundles. If they were to continue to pump out Lightspeed bundles, they would very quickly crash the meta of the game, crash the overall feeling of the game, and the game would just cease to work. And so they would drop in player base and lose a ton of money. Game would end up shutting down. And so that's why I don't think that these Lightspeed bundles are going to be unhealthy for the game, because it is impossible for them to keep adding them without breaking the game. If they start adding a whole bunch and a whole bunch of things, they're going to end up starting to break stuff. Because if you were to add on a finalizer pack, you would then get a whole bunch of stuff for Executor. If they were to add in a JML pack, you're getting Jedi Knight Luke. They're getting all kinds of stuff that take a long time to get. And so ultimately, I don't think it's possible really for them to do anything more than they've already done. And I think what they've done is great for the game. It's a little painful to some of us because we worked for those things and, people are catching up. But, overall, it's not possible for them to do much more without breaking the game. And breaking the game is just not going to be good for them. It's not going to be good for us. It's not going to be good for anyone. And so I think CG is smart enough to understand that, especially with how well they executed this and giving us both a way to get a leg up in the game, as well as a way to counter the leg up in the game, as well as not breaking Fleet Arena, which is one of the most important things, considering that is where crystals come from most, is from your Fleet Arena. And so overall, I think they did a great job in balancing everything. Yes, it's going to hurt for some of us, but honestly, this is a net positive. I would say, like, if I were to give it a rating, 9 out of 10. 100%, I think this is a great thing, especially if they keep bringing back those same Lightspeed bundles. It's going to be amazing for all of the new players coming in. One thing I do want to address, though, is free-to-play players. A lot of people are saying free-to-play is dead. And honestly, free-to-play hasn't changed much. A lot of people are saying all of a sudden free-to-play is dead. But this game has so many players and so much dedicated to those players with how they set things up, that wherever you are in the game, you can find fun in the game. Like, I am at 6.8 million. I've got 3 Galactic Legends now, thanks to the Lightspeed bundles. And I'm over here, fighting in Erodium, fighting for my life, because these are some intense battles where I'm going up against JMKs and things like that. But, I'm pulling things off where I'm at. I don't have to be in Kyber to be having fun. They do a great job of, you can be competitive wherever you are. And so free-to-play now seems like it's paled in comparison to paying, and I definitely think people should buy the Lightspeed bundles if they intend on playing this game for a large amount of time. But that being said, free-to-play isn't dead. Free-to-play is still the same thing. It's going to be enjoyable where you're at. You're still going to unlock your characters. And it keeps you away from Datacrons, because Datacrons are a nightmare. And so, honestly, a lot of people are saying free to play is dead. But that's the same thing as saying, you know, oh, my account is dead because I'm not in Kyber. There is a way to play at every piece of the game, and as long as you're slowly improving your play style, your skill, as well as your roster, especially, you are going to enjoy yourself wherever you are. You know, just because someone got, you know, these characters for free does not mean they get more enjoyment out of the game, especially does not mean they get more enjoyment out of the game. Honestly, I felt little to no enjoyment out of getting Ray, but getting Sith Eternal, getting SLKR, getting Executor, it was some of my favorite days. They just brightened up my week because I worked for them and I worked on them for months, and that gratification was just so much more than just, oh, I spent $10 and I got Ray. And so, honestly, free to play is 100% still viable. And I think it's just a different framing of mind for me. And you guys can chew me out in the comments and tell me how I'm wrong. But I'd love to actually hear your guys' thoughts on this. I know I'm being pretty positive, but I see this as a positive change to the game. Because when I started playing the game, I didn't buy the Lightspeed or the Hyperdrive bundle. And so I played through the entirety of the beginning of the game, and it was a slog. There were, like, times where I almost gave up on the game. And I'm so glad that, you know, the Hyperdrive bundle is there, the Lightspeed bundles are there, so they can get rid of that slog. I wish it was a little bit more free-to-play friendly, obviously. And they've done a good job with the sim tickets and things like that. But honestly, like, alleviating that early game stuff is a big part and allows, you know, a lot of those top level players to once again have a competitive spirit. So many people have been just playing and just been kind of stagnant because they're facing the same people over and over again. That it'll be good to have people kind of catching up and being able to challenge each other. I think it'll make modding more of a thing that people are trying to focus on. Because, like, I've been taking down opponents with more GLs just because of my modding and, you know, my skill and, you know, me looking up counters and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I'd love to hear it because, honestly, it's not something that's like I can 100% show on a piece of paper and be like, yeah, this was healthy for the game or this wasn't healthy for the game. But honestly, I think it's a net positive, and I'd love to hear what you guys think are negatives and what you guys think are positives. But regardless, anyways, I gotta get going. I got a party that I gotta get to. But thank you guys so much for watching. And I appreciate your guys' support on my channel. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. Trying to hit that 1,000 goal. Plus, it just, you know, helps bolster my confidence in making these videos for you guys. Throw in the comments any guides or anything that you want to discuss, or I'd love to hear from you guys. I love interacting with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.